Good morning. I've finished the night on the train. Now we're in Aswan. Aswan at the bottom of Egypt. And we're going to find my group. What are we doing today? Well, hang on. Where are they? Oh, there they are. So that's what I'm doing. Oh man, banging and clanging and all over the place. What's on today's agenda? We are going to Philae Island for a nice walk. What did you think of the sleep? Did you sleep okay? Oh, I don't want to complain. No, I didn't sleep well at all. But I thought that's what I would get, a bit of a rough ride, but it's okay.
Yeah, I know I got some sleep, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
It was more of a rest, you know.
Well, good experience, and today will be fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Positive.
Always good stories to tell, like the toilet.
Yes. Another paragraph in our life. All right, we're going to find the rest of the gang, get on the bus, do some sightseeing. Look at all the tourists. Okay. This is the entrance to Philae Island, or as I know, Philae Temple. Tourists, and more tourists. Now, just on one thing, if you're thinking of getting your own way out here, think again. It's a shit pie. You are better off getting a bus or hiring I don't have Uber here, but there's another company that does it. So try that. Look at that. They're coming from everywhere in the world to come and see Philae Temple. Anyway, shortly we'll get on the boat and you'll get to hear all about it. Where it was originally and why it's been relocated. Off to the boat. Wow, look at this. Wow, get some beautiful stuff too. I need a pyramid. You need a pyramid? You don't want one? I'm going to tell this bloke, I see this lady here, she loves pyramids. You can tell me to piss off any time. I wonder where the island is. It's probably directly in front. Yeah, it's very nice. Alright, I don't need any of them. I'll sit on the desk.
The gentleman here has a map of the Nile. It's a map of the River Nile from Alexandria all the way to Abu Simbel. Also, he has a small book about like hieroglyphic letters and about gods and goddesses of Egypt. This one about gods and goddesses and pharaohs as well. Any of these is 100 Egyptian pounds. Okay. A book about birds in Egypt. Also 100 pounds. Yeah, the map of Egypt, yes, he has it. Okay, he has here the necklaces. They start from 200, maximum price is 800. Maybe you could bargain a bit to drop it down a little bit, right? The bracelets here, like 300 and 100. 100 for the small one, 300 for the big one. And the hats, the Nubian hats is 100 pounds.
Now, what are you going to buy, young lady?
I would buy a bracelet, but I'm childless, so I don't think I'm going to slide off.
Okay. All right.
Very nice.
Well, look at this. This is everyone going out to Philae Temple, or Philae Island as it's called. I think you may be able to see just in the distance. We should be spending about an hour and a half out here. Listening to everyone on the train, everyone slept good except me. I couldn't believe it. All right, see you at the island.
So let me also put things in order for you. The temple firstly dates back to the Greek and Roman time. The idea of temples in ancient history, it was these constructions would be built by the Egyptian to make their prayers, to give their offerings for the local people, but also for the kings and queens who would fund these projects. It was like a history book for these kings and queens. You are a king, you're a queen, you ruled Egypt, you want your name to survive longer, find yourself a spot in this temple build something and put your cartouche, your name on it, your signature. That's how your name will last longer in the ancient history. Already this temple, since it dates back to the Greek and Roman time, then as I told you yesterday, when the Greeks came to Egypt at 332 BC, Alexander the Great, to convince the Egyptian that he's here as a friend, not as a warrior, of course he gave some presents for the Egyptian priests to show them how much he showed respect for them, and he asked them to tell the Egyptian about his story. What was his story? He said to them, tell the Egyptian about my story that one day the god Ra, the main god of Egypt, he was wandering around our family house, and he walked by Alexander's mother's room. He smelled this beautiful lotus perfume she used. That's how she seduced him, and they got married. And Alexander became the divine result of this divine marriage. He became the child of the god Ra. So he introduced himself to the Egyptian as the son of Ra. That's how the Egyptian accepted them here in Egypt. Alexander divided his empire between his emperors. Egypt fell to the Ptolemies. Before Alexander leaves Egypt, before he left here, he gave his advice to the Greek emperors. Guys, you want the Egyptian to accept you here, show them how much you respect the gods and goddesses. How is that? To help them to fund these projects, to help them to build temples for the gods and goddesses. When I say the temple dates back to the Greek and Roman time, it doesn't mean Greeks and Romans built it. No, the whole temple built by the Egyptian. The Greeks and Roman, they just funded these projects. Nobody better than the Egyptian could make these carvings on the walls and the columns. This hieroglyphic language where they register everything about their history on the walls of the temple. The temple of Philae, it was built and dedicated to one of the most famous goddesses in the ancient history, the goddess Isis, the goddess of magic. This is when we're going to talk about the most famous mythology in the ancient history. According to the ancient beliefs, it's the mythology of the beginning of mankind. I will try to make it as a play for you to understand it. According to the ancient belief, they said that the whole universe started with a god. He's standing right here.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
His name is Atom. Atom. What's your name? Atom. Atom, he was the god of creation. He made himself by himself. By the way, the story has so many details. I don't want to go through it, but for example, one of these details, it's maybe only, what do you call it, plus 18 details. You said that this guy, he was just sitting by himself, he was bored. As you know, the God who created himself by himself. So he decided to, masturbate, and then he created the sky.
Who would I pick you for this?
The sky and earth. I'm sure you're not gonna put this part in the video, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to cut it out.
Exactly, you must.
Just beep.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he created sky and earth. The sky goddess, her name was Nut.
Nut.
N-U-T, the goddess of sky. And the god of earth was called Jeb. Say hi, mom and dad. You know, you don't have no mom, you have only dad. Say hi, dad. He's the one who creates you.
All right, Dad.
Oh, got it.
All right, goddess of sky, god of earth. They were looking at each other, both of them. They were bored. What they gonna do? They decided to get married. Thanks, Atom, for creating them.
Thank you very much.
Now,
Cast aside.
Jeb.
Nice-
and
nice
Nut,
job.
They became husband and wife. They had 2 boys
It's incest.
and 2 girls. The 2 boys were Osiris
Yep. He looks like Osiris. Very
and
good.
his brother Seth.
Seth. Murderer.
Seth, that's right.
You got that look about him.
Yeah, he's a
The 2
sinner.
girls were Isis. The actual form of Seth, if you remember, people have been to the museum yesterday, he looked like an anteater. When he knew that Horus looking for him, he changed his form into a hippopotamus. Horus been told, if you want to find your uncle Seth, take a boat, sail along the Nile, kill all the hippopotamus you will find, until you will find the biggest one. That will be your uncle Seth. Horus did so. He found Seth, he killed him, and that's how he took his father's revenge, and Horus became the god of gods instead of his dad. And this is where the mythology ends, with the victory of good over evil.
Well played.
Take a
Covered by water. It was an emergency plan for UNESCO to save the temple before it's too late. They said they built a copper dam, a steel wall around the island of Philae. I will show the original location later. And then they used the pump machines to pump the water outside the island. They started to draw maps, plans, took photos of the whole island and the temple on it. Then they cut the whole temple piece by piece for more than 40,000 blocks of stones, and they moved it from Philae Island to Angelica Island, the place we're standing right now. The whole mission took them about 10 years, from 1970 till 1980. Already, the whole thing, the whole temple, one day it used to be colored, all these carvings you see now. But unfortunately, when the temple was covered by water, all the colors gone. All what you can see now is the black color. This is from the silt of the river Nile, the mud, which used to cover the whole walls and the columns. Even this reddish color, this is not a color, this is the natural color of the sandstone itself. It's in there. The design of the temple already, we have this area where we're standing, we call it the open court. This is where the common people will come to make their prayers and give their offerings. Common people were not allowed inside this section at the ancient time. This section there, for high official, the more important you are, the further you can go inside the temple. So, look at the columns, the design here. We call this a Corinthian style. That used to be the Greek and Roman touch. When they decided to fund the project, they asked the Egyptian workers, guys, could you please design the colors? Then he offers to Isis and her son, the falcon Horus. By the way, you're going to see that many figures been defaced of the walls here. That happened by the Egyptian Christians. How we know this? Because later on I'm going to show the crosses. I don't know if you can see it, by the main gate to the left and right hand side of the gate, maybe 2 or 3 meters above the ground level, you're going to see these circles with a Christian cross inside it. During the time of the Roman persecution, 1st century, the Christians decided to take shelter inside the Egyptian temples. When they were here, they don't want anybody to worship these gods anymore. And of course it makes sense, they never knew that these places will become important one more time. And at the same time, also, or another reason, the Egyptian style of art, they show the female goddesses half naked. That was offensive for Christians to watch it. That's why they defaced many of these figures of the walls. Which direction are we going to read hieroglyphic? Are we going to read from top to bottom or bottom to top? Are we going to read from right to left or left to right? Here's the answer. When it's vertical, we always read from top to bottom. Okay? Easy. The tricky part, when it's horizontal. When it's horizontal, you need to look which direction the figures are facing. The direction they face is where to start. It's like they tell you, if I'm looking there, so I'm telling you, read me from there. If I look this way, then I'm asking you to read me from right to left. For example, here, look at the flags. It looks to the right hand side. You know, so it means you read from right to left. But anyway, what's written here, because I will need your help to translate some hieroglyphic, the king stands here, offers something to the goddess Isis. Look, we have here slaughtered cows, lamb shank, bread, goose, birds. These jars has something like lotus flowers, vegetables and fruits. And this is what the king want to say to the goddess is written right here. Look at the symbol, look like an R with a triangle. What this could be?
rain.
Thank you. I offer. The king says, I offer. What does he offer?
Water.
Who's it water? Good water offer. That's right. This is letter N in hieroglyphic. When we have 2 or 3 of them, that means water, liquid offerings. I offer the liquid offering for the water. This is a word means to you. Look like a half circle with a little tail in the back. What else the king offers? Mountain. Thank you. I don't think you need me anymore. Look at you guys. this is the birth house or mahouzi. When the queen delivers her baby in her palace, they must bring the baby here to this room to make some rituals to announce him as the next legitimate ruler of the country. Okay, so that's why, since it's the birth room, on the columns, look at the columns, they have a female face with cow ears. This is one of the figures of the goddess of motherhood. You know what remembers her name? Hathor. Hathor, the goddess of motherhood. Sometimes they show her as a female face or a lady with two horns, other time a full cow, and sometimes this female face with the cow ears. Temple, also going inside there, look at the crosses both sides of the entrance, because the intersection where we're going now is the part was converted into a church during the Christian time. Is R and another A. Q-L-E-O, Cleo, P-A-T-R-A, Patra. Okay? Nelson. Now come this way, check the opposite side of the wall.
That's a bat. I hate bats.
Isis. The mythology I told you about, when Isis protected her husband's body, he said she put the body over a bed and she changed herself into a bird and she hovered over her husband's body to bring him back to life. That's why here they show Isis in her magical form, and the lady with two wings embraces Osiris to bring him back to life. Between the king and the gods, this beautiful table which full of lotus flowers, the symbol of Upper Egypt or South. Please.
Wow, that's impressive. Around every corner. So some of those hieroglyphics, it doesn't say like I'd like a schooner of new or a beer or anything like that, does it?
It's like there are some that it says I offer a beer for the king, for the gods.
Okay.
By the way, beer was one of the famous offerings given to gods at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so the
cool.
Egyptians, as I told you even yesterday in the pyramids, they used to have it as a salary. It's a temple built for the goddess Hathor. By the way, Hathor was not only goddess of motherhood, Hathor also was goddess of music, love, joy, dance, goddess of disco, to remember her name. If you are interested in your free time, going inside this small room or temple, you're gonna find half columns to your right hand side. On these columns, you're gonna see some carvings of people playing on different musical instruments. It gives you an idea what type of musical instruments used at the ancient time. You're gonna find a guy playing a harp. We call it the kiosk of Trajan, one of the Roman emperors who decided to leave his touch here in the temple by building this big kiosk. It's quite unique with the big scale of the size of the Corinthian columns. Finally, look in the water there. You see these black pillars coming out of the water? This is the original location of the temple of Philae. So the whole thing been moved from there to here.
So everywhere I've been in Egypt so far, it's just mind-blowing. And to think that they moved this whole complex, some, I don't know, 100 meters, which took 10 years. It's just amazing. That is so neat. Wow. And check this out. Well, I hope you enjoyed that walk around Philae Island and looking at Philae Temple and the history behind it. Now we're going to head off on our boat, go back to Aswan, and that will be our day. So we're going down to get on the boat now.
I think it's kind of cool that you make these things.
Another great day on tour. We'll see you tomorrow.